Hello everyone! Torghast, the Tower of the Damned. It's been available for testing in alpha for a little bit now. You've most likely heard people gush about it, and trust me, I'm not gonna be any different. But what is the tower? What's the story behind it? What we know so far? And what feedback do I have? Let's begin. Torghast is located in the Maw. And the way it works in the Shadowlands, normally anyways, is that the souls they're judged by the Arbiter and then sent off to the zones where they belong. We'll get a look at some of the selections available. Like a soul that died in service to others, you would end up in the Bastion. Were you a soul dedicated to power, well to Meldrax as you go? Were you a very naughty soul? Then Revendreft is where you will pay the price. That is still a far better fate than being sent off to the Maw, as that is where you go when you are irredeemable. Ruled over by the jailer, the boogeyman of the Shadowlands. This is the being that Sylvanas is working with. And while normally the souls that are judged and then sent over, the Shadowlands have gone out of balance. Somewhere around the Legion period, according to an interview, that is when the machine of death was broken, and all these souls, they were taken into the Maw, regardless if they deserved it. Meaning that former heroes, friends and allies, they're gonna be stuck in this realm of eternal torment. Not a whole lot is known about the jailer, as the Maw is not a place from which you escape. That is of course until we show up, and we become Maw walkers. Throughout our questing, we will dip in and out of the Maw, only to return at max level to really do our business. Amongst it, climbing the Tower of Torghast. Any action that you take within the Maw, be it killing the mobs, dying yourself, saving souls, they will draw the attention of the jailer. His eyes are going to fall upon you. In your deeds, it will cause him to, for example, send over a kill squad to specifically track you down, or mobs are going to notice you from further away. Things that will make you want to keep your visit here nice and short. Do what you need to do, like reach the tower and climb its levels. Currently, there isn't a whole lot of story attached to the tower quite yet. There has been some data mining, some hints that the souls we could encounter and save within the tower, that those souls are going to be quite familiar, but more information will become clear later on. Now, not just story, but also rewards are going to be claimed. There's a placeholder boss loot currently dropping, as well as materials to craft the legendaries. This will be done with the entity that also crafted Frostmourne and the Domination gear. We are going to learn more about that history, we're going to find out more. We might actually get to choose what slot this legendary is going to be for, with the exception of weapon and trinkets. What powers are going to go into the legendaries, and maybe even what secondary stats. More control over the gear that we get. That is awesome, of course. And so is the tower. The presentation of this new feature at BlizzCon, it was one of the things that really made me pay attention. On paper, all things can sound really cool though, but it doesn't always translate that way into the game. Think Islands or Warfront for example. But in this case, the tower is just a shit ton of fun. It really, really is. You could go in all by yourself, or make a party up to 5 players. It is early alpha, so it's still very much in development. Not even Blizzard themselves has all the answers yet for what they want to do with the tower. Currently, the plan is to have you go into the tower, close after hitting level 60. You'll have to do a few things first, some quest lines to guide you there, but it should be pretty early on that you get to go into the tower. How to get entrance into the tower is not certain quite yet. They mentioned something along the lines of being able to buy access, like how you buy your bonus rolls. Or something in the direction of vessels for the visions. Do things outside of the tower that can be converted into an entry ticket. Perhaps a world quest that might pop up every 3 days with your covenant giving you a free ticket. It's not certain yet, they're still playing around with ideas, but once you do get in, on testing right now, you can pick between quest halls, easy, normal or heroic. That's purely for testing, as the difficulty jump is quite insane. Hasn't stopped people from conquering all the floors though, people other than me. Sadly, my little paladin isn't allowed inside quite yet, but other classes have been fun all the same. The tower is a roguelike dungeon crawler. Like in Diablo, you uncover the map by exploring the floor. Each time that you enter the tower, the layout, the encounters and the buffs, they're going to be different. You might have played games like Enter the Gungeon or Crypt of the Necrodancer, or be like me and spend like 700 hours on Binding of Isaac. If that is you, then you're familiar with the gameplay in this World of Warcraft setting. If not, here's how it works. Each run, you'll be offered buffs along the way. choices to make, like for example, the little maw rats, they're going to explode upon death, dealing damage to other enemies. Or you might go for casting Arcane Blast while stealthed. It increases damage done by 2000%. Buffs that sadly only count inside of the tower, and the further you get, the more upgrades and power you obtain, but also the more powerful your enemies and encounters become. The buffs you pick, they do stack and they combo with each other. For example, you might have maw rats explode for 1000 damage, right? And then you run into it 5 times again, meaning that the maw rats, they now explode for 5000 damage. On top of that, you also found the buffs that whenever you kill a maw rat, your health is increased, and blinking over them, it instantly kills the maw rats. There's some crazy combos that you can make here, if you're lucky enough, and each class has its own unique anima upgrades. Like a mage, for example, you might get smarter mirror images, whereas a demon hunter, your glide is going to heal you. That, in combo with the randomness of the towers, the layout and the encounters, it makes it so that the content stays fresh for much longer. Then, as you go through the tower, certain enemies are going to drop a currency called Phantasma, which you can use to buy upgrades or potions from the broker, the vendor inside. You could buy an orb that allows you to transform a non-elite into one of these anima upgrades, which is really nice, but the upgrade you get, it actually depends on the type of enemy you transform. Should you say transform the vendor, you will get a ton of Phantasma. But if you decide to transform a maw rat, you'll get a maw rat bounce. So not only the option to instantly delete an enemy, but also a more specific kind of upgrade. And as you move along, you'll notice that certain souls are being tormented within the tower. Remember, this is where the jailer is supposed to keep the nastiest spirits, but now pretty much anybody gets sucked in here. Some souls, they will be familiar. Some are going to be related to the Covenant. Others are just random souls unlucky enough to get in here. Helping them out is going to give you a buff to your major stats, or hand out an upgrade, or put souls in your currency tab, which then can be used to improve your Covenant. At this point in time, there is no major time limit to the tower. It's not a Mythic Plus where it's a race against the clock. In true Shadowlands fashion, this is a race against death. If you die 3 times, you will draw the jailer's eyes upon you. It awakens the beautiful Taragru. Yep, I'm sure to pronounce that right. To come chase you down and kindly remove you from the tower. This big boy is a slow moving one, so if you do manage to reach the next floor, you're going to be safe. It's a mob, which means that you can play around with it. Some even had such crazy combinations that they were able to kill it. Not sure if that's going to make it alive though, but there is a limit to the amount of times you can die, and if you do, the jailer's gonna kick you out. That would be the general rundown of what the tower is about. And like I said, it's just been great fun to mess around with it. Being able to have chat come into it and advise you on what abilities to pick from, it makes for some great streaming content. Hours have literally flown by checking out all the different floors, different combos, and I'm actually a casual compared to some of the hours that the others have put in. I do believe that their plan is to aim at around 30 minutes per run once it's go live, so don't worry, you wanted to say goodbye to your families in order to play this. This tower has potential to be one of the highlights of the Shadowlands, especially since they can mix it up quite a bit. There's talk of seasons, there's talk about swapping bosses and trash around, new power-ups to be collected. It should be reasonably easy to flip the tower upside down, because it's contained, right? The power gain or the power loss, it doesn't really flow over into the rest of the game. Which brings me to my feedback for right now. I'd say that the tower itself is really good. I'm more concerned about the expansion around it. The replayability, it comes partially from being able to go in with different classes. Not just the tower, but other features of the Shadowlands, like the Covenants. They're going to have you play different characters in order to get the full experience. That means that Shadowlands, it needs to be way more alt-friendly than Battle for Azeroth ever was. Then, the way that we're going to go on to the roller coaster, obtaining our tickets to get into the fun times, it needs to hit the mark. If we take a look back at history, if we think, for example, back to the Visions, especially their first incarnation, you were spending so much time getting those essences, getting those bottles, that at some point, it just felt like you were doing chores in order to do the thing that you actually wanted to do. The tower in Legion, in my opinion, it was alright, but also not really comparable as there was no random factor involved. The encounter that you faced, each class had their own boss to deal with. It was the challenge of overcoming that fight, which was dependent on you and you alone. Imagine a tower run where you just end up with shit upgrades that are out of your control. That would be a waste of a ticket that you spent so much time in obtaining. The Chromie scenario, that had no entrance fee and was great fun in my opinion, but eventually it became pretty pointless as there were no continued rewards to be obtained. The Wither training, if I remember it right, it was pretty easy to buy your way in, but it was also on a 3-day rotation and it didn't offer magnificent rewards like legendaries. I think that's where the balance of entrance fee stems from, as the higher the rewards, the more reasonable it becomes that you invest your time into actually being able to play through Torghast. Yet, it is a double-edged sword. If the rewards are fantastic, like a cloak upgrade for example, you don't want to fill your run or you're going to feel like you're behind the rest of your raid group. I'm not going to bring that guildie in that doesn't know how to step out of the fire. I think he's called Nobble or something. Yeah, he's not coming with me in my tower party, as they might mess up my upgrade. And keep in mind, this is all feedback, alpha, what-if scenarios. If the entrance fee takes forever to grind, if the rewards are that high, then the tower, it might feel like a requirement rather than a fun thing to blast through, as it's currently on the alpha. But no rewards at all, that might be silly as well. It is still an RPG, after all. Character progression is a big motivation to play, so I hope that they can manage to find a nice balance when it comes to gaining access and gaining rewards. Maybe find a nice middle ground. Perhaps put like a cap on the legendary stuff that you can safely get in like a run or two. No matter what, you'll get those runs anyways, and you'll be sure to have your best power upgrades done. Then the actual fun can begin. Go into the tower with your buddies, mess around all you like, obtain cosmetic rewards, maybe get some extra lore bits, tabards perhaps, to farm old reputation while in the tower. That could also lead to like swapping the mobs around to reflect the Burning Crusade time periods while you're grinding reputation for the Burning Crusade. You could add mounts to this, toys, perhaps make your next run into the tower easier. If we look at Isaac, you have unlockable power-ups, which usually flow from doing something special in the previous run. New unlockable upgrades for your next tower run, or perhaps a passive eternal upgrade that you can swap around with. I don't know, imagine like you can die one extra time before the jailer notices you, or the mob threat range is lowered so they don't pay attention to you that much. Nothing overpowered, but still a nice perma buff to have. Something more chill, something still rewarding, but not a power creep, and not required. That still allows you to keep on having fun within the Tower of Torghast, as well as make it easy enough to get in, so you can also try it out with your alts. I really hope they're going to nail that part, because if they do, like I said, the tower has potential to be some of the finest content that they've made. I wouldn't mind seeing a score added to the tower either, like an endless mode. A score dependent on how much you explore, how much you kill, how many upgrades you get, how many times you died. A score that doesn't have to mean anything, just a number that you can use to compare your progress with friends. Achievements, of course. All hail the hero that made it to level 50, or an achievement for encountering Hogger spirits. Achievements are great for those that care about it, like myself, and meaningless for those that don't. An in-game ranking board to see who has reached like level 100 of the tower and saved their princess. Maybe see more recognizable bosses in between as a little showstopper. For example, in Binding of Isaac, there are certain plateaus that you reach, certain bosses you're going to guaranteed encounter. Like your very first time into Isaac, your very first run. Unless you get super upgrades, you're not going to defeat Mother. But the next time, when you get better at it, when you get some better upgrades, you do defeat her. And then before you know it, you're suddenly facing Satan and you're sending your own spirit into the afterlife because you locked yourself in a chest and you're slowly passing away. Yeah, Binding of Isaac, it's one hell of a game that you should definitely check out. Now convert that to World of Warcraft and they could add a Hogger as the raid boss at floor 10. Imagine talking to your buddy like, oh man, have you overcome Hogger yet? Yeah, I'm now stuck on Cookie at level 20. I'm trying to avoid his homemade Murloc stew, but it's just too difficult, man. Something to mark a point of progress, and then defeating them. That of course gives you access to their souls, and now sometimes you can spawn a little ghost spirit of Hogger that's going to chill with you. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, just typing away at the scripts. The crazy potential for the tower and what they already produced. It's really awesome. I'm sure you have your own suggestions and ideas for the tower. By all means, let me know what you're thinking of in the comments down below. I'll wrap up my little tower thing for now though. If you want to see the hours that I've done so far, I'll link some VODs in the description down below. I will say though, that you can really tell that this is a project of passion. The art team, the designers, those involved, they really put out some cool stuff here. I did love the interview that Towley did with Paul Cubitz. They were talking about the tower, and it's clear that they're still very much in development. They're playing around with ideas. Some of the suggestions that are actually coming from the developers themselves about what they could do, what they want to do, they sound really, really good. It's early alpha. Let us test things to the max. Can only hope that they absolutely nail it, and we'll get an amazing piece of content to play with. That's it for me for now though. So thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one. And until next time. See ya!